What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mack. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the Star-Studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. As you can see on my hoodie, the star fades on clothing, but never fades in our hearts. Welcome to Dad and the Boys today, and this is episode 12, which there's only one 12 in Cowboys history that really matters.
Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach. This is the Roger Staubach episode, and we don't know what
my childhood hero.
Your childhood hero.
Yes, Lord. Yes. You talking about a man that lived the all-American life. I mean, he was a Vietnam vet. He won the Heisman Trophy at Navy. And he played for America's team and won the Super Bowl and was Super Bowl MVP. I mean, you talk about and a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, so you talk about a life well lived, and he's a good Christian man. And you talk about a life well lived. How could you ask for a better hero than Roger Staubach?
Definitely one of the most legendary quarterbacks in Cowboys history. And so we want to acknowledge Roger Staubach, our 12th episode of Dad and the Boys. If you're watching us on Boom Broadcasting, if you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network, thank you. Well, we have an episode planned for Friday afternoon at 12, but today we wanted to just kind of sandwich in between preseason and training camp to when regular season actually starts this Sunday. The Cowboys visit the Cleveland Browns, and we'll preview that game on Friday, but what I wanted to do is kind of like set the stage. We got to set a foundation for the season to come for the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't know if you knew this. I found this out literally minutes before we went on air. Mike McCarthy, in his fourth season of the Green Bay Packers, lost in the wild card round after finishing the season 11-5. And then in his fifth season, Mike McCarthy hoisted the Lombardi Trophy in our house in AT&T Stadium. And so now he just finished his fourth season with the Cowboys, going 12-5, losing in the wild card round. And now he enters his fifth year as the Cowboys head coach. So hoping for better results this time around.
Well, I mean, you know my love for Mike McCarthy as a coach. I mean, I was a big, avid supporter of Jason Garrett. I thought Garrett maybe presented the opportunity to be a Tom Landry for Jerry Jones. And unfortunately, things just didn't work out because we'd have a good year and then we bounced back to 8-8 or below. It seemed like we could never put back-to-back seasons together. And then comes along Mike McCarthy. And if you take out the year that was the COVID year and Dak getting hurt in Game 5 against the Giants, and you look at his resume for the Dallas Cowboy tenure, it's really well. I mean, 12 wins in 3 seasons in a row. I mean, how could you ask for more? He's getting us to the postseason, but will it be the year that he takes us beyond the wild card round?
I hope it is. I think it is. But we're going to say a little later on how we feel the Cowboys will end up in the division in the NFC East. But wanted to hand out some preseason or pre-regular season awards and predictions for the Dallas Cowboys. And so we got 3 categories before our first commercial break and then 3 categories afterwards. And so I want to start out highlighting these rookies. I just wrote an article for Fans First Sports Network that dropped yesterday afternoon saying the Cowboys rookie draft class could have a huge, significant impact on this team.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing in 6 of their 7 draft picks.
Yep.
Although Thomas went on IR, so his season's done.
Okay.
Which I expected them to redshirt one of their rookies.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you've got Guyton and Cooper along the offensive line. You've got Flournoy as a wide receiver. So, I mean, you're looking at some offensive talent there And if you ask me to pick who's going to be best offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to say BB.
You're going to say Cooper Beebe?
I'm going to say Cooper Beebe. And because Guyton, I think the premise is there that he's going to do well and he's going to be the starter. He really, in all honesty, didn't have to win that job. Chuma Edoga getting hurt, it was basically done. Although what he has put on tape in the preseason has been really good, going against Max Crosby, some first-string talent, all-pro talent, in all honesty. Cooper Beebe, though, I think to play that such a demanding position as center, I think he's going to be amazing. I think the fact that he won the position and Brock Hoffman did not make it easy.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be our best offensive rookie. I don't know that Fournet's going to get. He will get some snaps and stuff on the in the games potentially, but he's not going to make a huge impact. I don't think this year.
I have a feeling that he's going to. Hopefully, it doesn't become because of injury. That would be really unfortunate. And so I don't want to pick any answer my dad picks just because. I mean, I want this pod to be a little bit interesting. Cooper Beebe would be my pick if I was picking offensive rookie of the year, but just to be a little bit different, I'm going to go with one of the most valuable positions on the field, left tackle, Tyler Guyton. I became a believer in Tyler Guyton with that one play on Max Crosby where he made Max Crosby look like he was on the roster bubble.
Well, he switched sides after that.
He switched sides. I covered that in the article on Fans First Sports Network, and I was blown away. I was like, if Tyler Guyton, and he doesn't have small shoes to fill, literally and figuratively, in Tyron Smith, and so for him to come up, be the left tackle, and dominate Max Crosby like that when he did, I mean, the sky's the limit. Of course, he's going to have that first week test when it comes to Myles Garrett in Cleveland. That's going to be tough. But yeah, if you take BB, I'll take Tyler Guyton.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, either one of those guys, I think they're both going to be. I think they're both going to excel this year.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that BB is sandwiched in between Tyler Smith and Zach Martin.
Yeah,
that does make a big difference.
It does make a big difference.
Left tackle, you're there beside Smith, but you're kind of out on an island almost. So I mean, I hope we're both right.
I hope we're both right. I like when we're both right. And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, there are three main contributors to this team. You could have Marshawn Nealon, you could have Maris Leofau, you could have Kalen Carson. All three guys are probably going to make immediate impact for this Cowboys team week one. And so, what's your defensive rookie pick?
Kalen Carson.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, the fact that I know that he's going to be probably starting as an outside corner since DeRon Bland's on the injured reserve for the first few weeks. I'm going to pick Carson, and I think he's going to shine well enough that even though when Bland does come back, he will still be in the rotation when we go to nickel and dime. And I think he's going to set the tone. They called him Seatbelt Carson. I think we just spoke on that last episode. And I think he's going to do really well, which kind of segues into my next award.
Let me get my pick in. If you're taking Kalen Carson, which I have so much high hopes for him, again, Dad probably taking my pick, but again, wanting to be a little different than Dad. I'm gonna go Marshawn Nealon. Marshawn Nealon, he had incredible numbers throughout the entire preseason. Pro Football Focus, actually, and I got this down on my Fans First Sports article. You guys can go check out. Is his 80.5 Pro Football Focus grade in run defense this preseason. is third amongst his entire rookie class. A 77.6 grade is sixth among all rookie defensive ends with an overall play style. So those are high numbers, especially when you think about a second-round pick and, what this team lost. They lost Dorrance Armstrong. They lost Dante Fowler. They lost Sam Williams due to injury. He's going to have to immediately step up and show that he can play. I'm comparing him to a young DeMarcus Lawrence. And if he
that's
has
a fair comparison.
That
is really a fair comparison. My only thing about Neyland, and I do think he's going to do well, is defensive linemen sometimes take a year or two to actually progress and transition into the NFL. Hopefully, he's on the fast track. I do think with Zingina and Zimmer and Greg Ellis, I think they can teach him up and coach him up. And I think he's going to do well. He looked good in the preseason. So, I mean, will he? I don't know. But I'm going to stay with my boy Carson. But I hope you're right, too.
I hope I'm right, too. And now you mentioned a few of our coaches, a few of our assistants. And so I wanted to open up a reward. And this is our prediction to be the best coach not named Mike McCarthy, because everything rides this season for Mike McCarthy right now. But you have a plethora. I'm opening this up to any of our coordinators, any of our position coaches. You seem like you already have the answer.
Assistant head coach. You know who he is. Defensive backs coach, folks. Al Harris.
He's got Al Harris, the assistant head coach, defensive backs coach. And, I mean, to be fair, when you have that amount of talent, it's not even fair.
But look, he has coached that talent up. I mean, he coached DeRon Bland, a fifth-round pick, into an all-pro, record setter. He coached Trayvon Diggs, a second-round pick, into a all-pro. I mean, the dude is amazing in the secondary. I mean, he really is. And I mean, and there's a lot of good coaches. Solari.
With the offensive line.
Lunda Wells is amazing. I mean, he really is with tight ends. And I think we're going to see that with Ferguson and the guys increasing. I think he actually won an award last year as one of the best assistant coaches in the league.
See? So you're not picking him?
No, I'm picking Al Harris. Al's my boy. I love Al Harris. I was so glad that he did not go to the East Coast.
We did not want him going up north to play in the nation's capital. My pick for the best coach or assistant on this team is not necessarily going the Al Harris route, again, wanting to be different, but this is more of a challenge to, if you hear this, which why wouldn't you hear this? This is Dad and the Boys. This is your, twice a week stop, for all your Cowboys content. If you're listening to this, Paul Gunther, you need to have the best year possible, imaginable, of your lifetime this season. You are the defensive run game coordinator. You have to shore this up. Look, we lost Leighton Vander Esch due to retiring from neck injuries. We lost Jonathan Hankins in the offseason. He signed with Seattle. Okay, two of your best run defenders are gone. Okay, you have a new retooled linebacking core. You have some, bigger guys up front in the defensive tackle position. We added Linval Joseph. We added a couple other guys. I think you need to have the best year, A, because we need to stop running, and B, so I can tell my dad I was right.
Well, and there again, I mean, I think you picked a good one. I do believe that our run game will be better on defense, simply because, I mean, you got the Linval Joseph, you got what's the other kid, Jordan Phillips, and you've got an improved Mozzie Smith. And usually those guys, again, one reason I didn't pick Neyland is because when defensive linemen come into the league, it usually takes them a year to get adjusted. I think last year we we drafted Mozzie Smith, number 1, first round, and then we changed his game. I mean, you can't do that. If you're drafting somebody, you keep them doing what they're supposed to be doing and the way they play. I mean, we asked him to lose weight and be more of a pass rusher. That was not his game. That's not what brought him to the dance, folks. And so, I mean, I think putting him back and getting him back beefed up to where he can take on those blockers so our linebackers can make the plays up the middle and attack the ball carriers, I think is going to be an amazing feat. And you've got them rotating in with Digazua. You got Nealon, who is good at the run. You've got
DeMarcus Lawrence,
who's excellent at probably the best defensive end in the NFL against the run.
I'm glad you added that against the run part.
And then you've got one of the best pass rushers in the league, if not the best, from Michael Parsons. So I mean, you've got a good defensive line and a young defensive line for the most part. So now it's just seeing how it meshes together, and I think you picked a good choice in Paul Gunther.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I picked him. And so we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network, and when we come back, we're going to tell you who the best receiver is, not named CeeDee Lamb, who the best running back is, and we're going to say where the Cowboys end on this division, first or fourth. And I don't think either of us picked fourth. Just a little spoiler alert right there. That goes to the New York Giants. But we'll get back right to the awards, right to the predictions on Dad and the Boys right here on Fans First Sports Network, and you're watching us on Boom Broadcasting. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. If you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network or if you're watching us on Boom Broadcasting, we appreciate you guys showing us love, showing us support. Both episodes of Dad and the Boys were in the top 5 when it came to Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel last week. So thank you. Keep showing our Cowboys some love as we gear into the season. We just listed off a few things: Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Assistant or Coach of the Year, not named Mike McCarthy. And so now we get into the final 3 awards that we mentioned before the break: the best running back, the best wide receiver, not named CeeDee Lamb, and of course our final standing prediction in the NFC East. We'll start with the best wide receiver, not named CeeDee Lamb, because we all know CeeDee Lamb is the number 1, but people are wondering what that number 2 position is going to look like. There was a lot of hate on Jerry Jones in the front office not getting a dildo with CeeDee Lamb any earlier. I said there's no reason for concern. There wasn't. He'll play week 1. But you got an older Brandon Cooks. You got 2 young Jalen's, both Brooks and Tolbert. And then you have the rookie Flourney. And you also had Michael Gallup, who left in free agency, went to the Vegas Raiders, and then eventually retired before he could play a snap for the Raiders. So wide receiver 2 looks different for the Cowboys. We're not going to add Jake Ferguson into this list. That's not fair. That's cheating. Who do you think is the second best receiver on this team this year?
If you look back to the second half of last year, and you notice all of a sudden there's a number kept getting popped up. Yeah, you had CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is the man. He's the number 1 go-to person. But you had a number keep popping up. And he had that fade route in the end zone. Beautiful with Dak. And, folks, he's going to be cooking a little bit more this year. Brandon Cooks. Their chemistry is there. It took a while to develop over the course of last season, and I think once from the halfway mark, he really started to flourish in this offense. So I do believe that, the second receiver is going to be Brandon Cooks. I do believe the Tolbert and the Jalen's are doing good. I just don't see them taking over Brandon Cooks right now.
Well, Brandon Cooks, obviously a veteran receiver. He just seems to be so consistent. I don't know why he's hopped around the league as much as he has. But when you start looking at a receiver who could put it all together, 6'1", 195 pounds, 3 years into the league from South Alabama, I think this is finally the year Jalen Tolbert shines and breaks through. Enough so, and this is a bold prediction, enough so next offseason we're not only talking about re-signing Micah Parsons, but re-signing Jalen Tolbert as well. That is how important I think Tolbert will be on this offense. I feel like we don't move on from Michael Gallup if Tolbert's not ready to take that leap. Last year, he had 22 catches, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns in 6 games started, and he played in all 17 games.
Well, I mean, Tolbert was I saw somewhere, it might have been on the mothership, that they had listed him as probably having one of the best training camps of any, and the most improved of any player on the team. I think he's going to make that third-year leap. I really do. He, of course, his rookie year was kind of a wash. His second year, he did do well. And the third year, he's moving into the wide receiver number 3 category. And I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for him. And so far in preseason, he looks like he's ready for those opportunities.
Yeah. And you have to be, especially with the Cowboys. And there's a lot of questions surrounding the running game. Don't know why, because that running back field looks a lot better than people were making it out to be. You got Ezekiel Elliott returning. You got Rico Dowdle, probably the younger guy, and probably built to take more of the carries at this point in their careers. Dalvin Cook just signed to the practice squad. And then you got a guy who brings something unique, brings that X factor, Deuce Vaughn. When it comes to the running backs, who do you think is our best running back?
Can I revert back just a second? You kind of moved on a little bit before. And, folks, you've heard me say this on the show on previous editions, that once you put on that star, you're like family to me. And none other can exemplify that more than Jalen Tolbert. South Alabama grad.
Oh, right. That's why I moved on. I'll think about that.
He used to terrorize our alumni in Appalachian State when they would play. And I hated him then. But once he became a Cowboy and put on that star, I wished him nothing but the best. And I look forward to cheering on for him for a long time to come, as long as he continues to wear that star.
Yeah, I purposefully moved on because I don't like thinking about that previous life of Jalen Tolbert, much like I don't like enjoying Ezekiel Elliott in that weird, gap year, I call it, in a Patriots uniform. Not as bad as seeing Emmitt Smith in a Cardinals uniform, but still pretty bad.
That's life in the NFL. It's like, and I mean, I don't pull for the 49ers at all, but I did love and respect Joe Montana. And, Montana being a Notre Dame grad, he's the only non-Dallas Cowboy player to ever don an ornament on my Christmas tree in the house. Of course, it's the Notre Dame when it's not the San Francisco burgundy and gold crap. But, I mean, he moved on from the 49ers to the Chiefs. I mean, it's life in the NFL. You hope that these guys don't, and that you get to cheer for them throughout their entire career. Ezekiel Elliott the good thing was it was New England, so I got to pull for him. It wasn't affecting Dallas in any way other than us not having him. And you know how I feel about Ezekiel Elliott. The fact he's a heartbeat of the room, he's a heartbeat of the team, I think. And the fact that, if you remember when we was in Jacksonville and we went over and we stood where they was coming off the bus, what's the one player that looked over to us
and acknowledged
us?
Zeke.
He gave that little, yeah, baby, let's go. And, I mean, he's just got that kind of personality that he loves being a Dallas Cowboy. He's, in all honesty, yeah, his numbers have gone down. I mean, but he's aging. But for what he is, getting the first down, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, whatever, and getting the first down, and being the blocker that he is for Dak. The only thing that was wrong with Zeke last year was his contract with us.
Yeah.
In all honesty, that was the only thing that was wrong. If his contract wasn't exorbitant, I don't think he would have ever had a gap year with the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, his production wasn't meeting his contract at that time. He's my best running back.
So Zeke's your pick
all day long.
Man, and I also just dropped an article on Fans First talking about you should bet on Ezekiel Elliott. And so maybe I should have went first on that one.
All I'm going to say is feed Zeke, baby. Feed Zeke.
Maybe I should have went first so I could have grabbed Zeke. Zeke is going to get 11 rushing touchdowns this year. Mark my words. Bet on him. Draft him in fantasy. He's going to get the end zone.
Don't worry. We can both agree on the next question.
Okay.
Or we better.
And then my pick for running back would be I think Rico will do okay. I think Dalvin Cook can help provide some relief there, but I'm going to go the wild card. I'm going to go Deuce Vaughn. And here's why I think Zeke is going to do well, and here's why I think Deuce will do well. Zeke brings that extra little bit more than any other running back. He is the best player without the ball in his hands. He can protect Dak's blind side. He can help a younger offensive line when it comes to Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe in those situations. Zeke has a nose for the end zone. He can help turn the page when it's third and short. Deuce Vaughn brings an X factor to this team that no other player does.
He's a pinball.
He's a pinball. He's Darren
his nickname, Pinball. We're going to name him Pinball Vaughn. Because, he bounces. That game
against the Rams,
I thought he broke that kid's ankles. Honest to God, I thought the kid's ankles were shattered. And he brings that. And I don't know that any other of the running backs do. The other three are power backs.
And there's one running back I absolutely hated playing against. Do you remember who that was? Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
I hated Darren Sproles, whether he was a Saint, whether he was a Philadelphia Eagle. I hated Sproles. Why? Because he was so good. He was so gifted. Other than any other running back, you can't game plan for those types of guys. And I feel like Deuce Vaughn is the same way.
Well, and the thing of it was last year we got hyped on Deuce Vaughn. It was the ultimate draft story. It really was. It was a heartfelt moment for his dad. I'm sure. I can't imagine, how his dad, the emotions he was having that he was getting to call his son and saying, "Hey, you gonna come to work with me?" As a dad myself, that just is amazing. I know when we sat there and we stood behind where they make the draft selections, how surreal that was just for the three of us, you and your brother and me, as a dad. And it was amazing. So, I can't imagine what he was like. But the fact that last year, Deuce, he had flashes in the preseason, but it was always against second and third team players. This year, he had flashes, and it was against first team players. So, that shows me that little bit of a growth, that maybe he can make that adjustment and just needed a little bit more time to mature and get to the point where he can really take on a load. It's not going to be 20 carries a game, but he probably will get anywhere from 7 to 10 touches.
And those touches can be electric. That's how Tony Pollard made a name for himself, if you guys remember. He was taking that load off of Zeke, and he made the most of it. And I feel like Deuce can do the same thing.
Well, and I love the running back by committee. A lot of people compare it to the wide receiver by committee, but really, Mike McCarthy has a history of running back by committee in Green Bay. Because he never really had that elite one runner, cowbell runner. And so, you keep these guys fresh. You just keep rotating them in, and you keep them fresh because you want Zeke when we get into December and January. You want Zeke. You want Dalvin and Cook. You want them to still have something left in the tank at that point of the season that they can, and Rico as well, that they can make plays for you in the postseason. Because Mike has changed this team. Mm-hmm. He's changed the identity of this team to a smash mouth team. I mean, you look at the beef he's added in the trenches.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball, and they're playing. They're going to play with a nastier demeanor. It's not going to be all flash and pomp and circumstance. I mean, and that's what you need. That's what made us so great when we was with Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, we had speed, but we also had guys that will punch you in the mouth and then look at you and say, "Come back for more, please."
Yeah.
You know, I think Nate Newton said it best. He said, "We told you we was running Zeke. We was running Emmett this way, and we did. It was up to you to stop us, but they never could."
Yeah. And if the Cowboys' offensive line can be that dominant, any running back can thrive behind that offensive line. And we're closing in on our final couple minutes on the show. We still have one more award/prediction. It's the Dallas Cowboys and where they end up in this division. You got 1, 2, 3, or 4. You really don't have 4 because that's the New York Giants. It's really just between the Washington Commanders, their rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, new head coach Dan Quinn. You got Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, adding Saquon Barkley to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and also added Jahan Dotson. Don't know why Washington trades the Eagles, their second best receiver, to become Philly's third. And then you have the Dallas Cowboys, who this podcast is about. So I feel like I know your answer.
Well, in the words of our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, 1. Folks, we're going to make history. We're going, for the first time in 20-some years, we're going to have back-to-back champions in the NFC East. I just think there's more to that collapse that Philly had last year. And you're bringing in, I mean, you went out and got Saquon Barkley. And you went out and got this one and that one, which are great. Saquon's a really good running back if he's healthy. But you also went out and got Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, I like him, but Mike McCarthy will tell you, Kellen Moore doesn't know how to run the ball. And that's Philadelphia's offense, really, if you think about it. They're a running team. Because I'm sorry, I'm not sold on Hurts as a passer.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Hurts as a passer either. Could be tough playing Hurts and Barkley in the run game, though.
It is, but Kellen Moore's going to keep them passing.
Yeah.
I mean, he reverts back to the pass all the time. That was the big beef between him and Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy said, "Run the damn ball." You know, he's like, "I want to run the ball. Not all the time, but when we got a lead, I want to run the ball and chew up clock," and he wouldn't do that. Kellen Moore is a former quarterback, and he's a good offensive coordinator. I just don't know that he was the best choice for Philadelphia to be an offensive coordinator. And then you got the
Commanders.
You got the friction between your quarterback and your head coach with Hurts and Sirianni. I mean, you know, is there something there? I just don't see Philadelphia getting over the hump. I think they'll be a playoff team. I think they'll finish second. And the Commanders, if they're lucky, they'll get third.
If they're lucky?
If they're lucky, they'll get third.
Over the Giants.
Over the Giants.
You're talking about the Giants.
I know I'm talking about the Giants, but I'm saying if they're lucky, they'll get third.
Giants may be lucky.
And I love Dan Quinn.
Games.
I mean, I think Dan Quinn's going to turn that program around, unfortunately. But I just don't think it's this year.
I mean,
Rookie quarterbacks, I mean, do you think Jalen Daniels is going to come in and do what C.J. Stroud did?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
With Austin Eckler, Scary Terry?
I don't think he will. I just don't see it.
I mean, I could see it going either way. I could see a Bryce Young situation, or I could see a C.J. Stroud situation.
I think he's more towards Bryce Young than he is C.J. Stroud.
Just because of the talent around him?
Well, and that I'm not really sold on Daniels. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are drafted high. Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, Drake May, by the way. Throwing that one in there.
So, I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks drafted high every year. We've got one on our team that I think might have a chance at developing into something, but would you want Trey Lance quarterback in our team right now?
Nope.
No. and he was third overall.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the talent. I just don't think he's got in Washington. I don't think the kid's got the talent around him to move them beyond the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys. So if best, they will finish third. And you never know what you're going to get with Daniel Jones and the Giants. I mean,
I know what I'm going to get.
I think they're going to be fighting for the bottom of the East.
I think the Giants are going to fight for the bottom of the NFL, like losing Saquon Barkley, failing to replace him. That's tough. I don't want a particular corner / wide receiver from Colorado to go there. So hopefully Dallas can convince somebody to, hey, trade us your first round pick for a pack of peanuts and maybe a tour around Jerry's world. But when it comes to Dallas finishing in the division, if Dad took first, he's like
you can take first too.
I'll just go second and win from the wild card round.
All right, so folks, he's up for adoption. His birth certificate, I'll provide that upon adoption decree.
You see how I'm blocking his? I will say we finish second, we get in the wild card, and we make a playoff run to minimum the NFC Championship game. So I'm blocking his shot right now to make sure I have a mouth to do other streams, because I'll do Out of Pocket tonight for Boom Broadcasting. And breaking news, Out of Pocket is moving to 1 hour this fall, starting tonight. So you'll want to go over to Boom Broadcasting and check that out. It'll be 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Out of Pocket covers all the sports: football, basketball, baseball. We'll even cover some pro wrestling tonight.
So you're going to start leading me right up to Bible study, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be quite the time. I'm super excited about it. But guys, that will be it. We'll look more ahead to the Cowboys-Browns game this Friday when we're back on the Star State Cowboys Network, back on Fans First Sports Network, and back on Boom Broadcasting. But for now, you may return to your regularly scheduled lives. Thank you so much for tuning in to Dad and Boys on the Star State Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And remember, this isn't our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.